John, let's look at some of that polling. Fox News has released data just today showing 73% of registered voters think Iran poses a real threat to the US. That's a 13-point increase from just 6 years ago. Interesting too when you look at the breakdown of the different voter groups. A majority of Democrats, 69%, 82% of Republicans and 62% of independents agree Iran poses a real risk. And those numbers are up from 2019 across the board. But, John, when it comes to the strikes against Iran, it's evenly split. 49% approve and 46% disapprove. But Republicans, 73% approval, well above the independents and Democrats at 32%. Is that data where you'd expect it to be? It's still showing that the majority of Republicans stand with the Trump administration in backing these strikes.
Well, that's right. There's a partisan split here, Rita, as there is on virtually every issue in the United States. But, you know, another survey came out today that I think is really interesting. It was from JL Partners. They surveyed Americans, they surveyed Republicans, but they also surveyed self-identified MAGA Republicans. And that's interesting because 81% of self-identified MAGA Republicans say that they support Israel's strikes on Iran, and 65% of MAGA Republicans say they support American strikes on Iran, even though that really is not even on the table at this point. And by 84% to 3%. Think about that, Rita. In polling, 84% to 3% MAGA Republicans support Israel, not Iran. So again, I think Trump's base is with him. I think he's got solid support there.
Now, how do you see the administration handling the next phase of this conflict? President Trump said today he hasn't made up his mind about the US joining Israel in striking Iranian nuclear sites. And he also said he will likely come to his decision 1 second before it's due. Now, I presume this is his strategy to keep everyone guessing. Do you think, John, he knows precisely what he's going to do?
Well, maybe not, Rita. I think what he does depends on how things play out. He won't strike Iran unless the Israelis need us to strike Iran. And the way it looks to me is there's only one scenario where that could be true, and that is the nuclear base at Fordow, the Iranian base, which is buried deep under a mountain. And the American bunker buster bombs may be the only thing that can get through that mountain and destroy that base. I don't know. The Israelis may be able to disable it even without that weaponry. But I think if push comes to shove, and that weaponry is needed to finish off Iran's nuclear program, then I think it's likely that Trump will give the green light.
What about targeting the supreme leader? Is that something that is a step too far for the administration? Is regime change really not a goal right now? It's all just about eliminating Iran's nuclear ambitions?
Rita, regime change absolutely needs to be the goal. If the mullahs stay in power, they are going to get back they'll reconstitute Hamas and Hezbollah, which have been devastated. A little time will go by and they'll start working on the nuclear weapons again. The world is not safe until Iran starts to become a normal, modern country, which is what I think the large majority of Iranians want. So one way or another, I do think regime change needs to be the goal. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean killing the Ayatollah. I think there are various ways that could take place. In the end, it's going to be up to the Iranian people, but I think we should do what we can to try to bring that about.
Now, you mentioned the Iranian people and what they want. I want to play you bit of footage from Iran. This was shot by a man in Tehran, footage of Israeli fighter jets over the city near the Supreme Leader's residence.
آسمون تهران میدون فردوسی ماشاءالله ماشاءالله بزن حرومزاده رو بزن.
I speak Persian and those translations are accurate. He was just pleading with them to strike, to hit the targets. Undoubtedly, there are many Iranians in Iran and those who've already fled who want to see the end of this regime, and they really don't care if it's Israel or the US that make it happen, John.
Well, Rita, you're familiar with the concept of a preference cascade, where people have been oppressed and nobody can say what he really thinks, because if you do that, you might get shot. And then things start to change and things start to shift, and all of a sudden people start saying what they actually think. And once that begins to happen, things can change very, very fast. And we have seen regimes collapse virtually overnight. It turns out that they're much more fragile than people thought. And I'm hopeful that may happen in Iran, that the Iranians may find a way to rise up and get rid of this terrible regime.
Now, before you go, just on domestic matters, the inflation rate has been lower under Donald Trump than the Biden administration. It's stayed low and, in fact, dropped despite tariff fears. Real wages are up slightly. The illegal immigration crisis is certainly over. How do you judge this second term compared to Donald Trump's first term?
Well, he's off to a much better start, Rita, no doubt about that. And I think a key point is he is fulfilling his campaign promises. He's doing what he said he was going to do. He's closed the border. Real wages are up. Inflation is flat. He's at least begun the process of trying to get a handle on government spending, and he's starting to rebuild the military. These are things he promised to do, and he's doing them. So I think he's off to a terrific start.
John Hinderaker, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Rita.